Hi everyone, this is Longvo. Today I'm analyzing one of my games in the Burlington Chess Club. It's December the 11th, 2012. I'm playing white, currently rated 1587. My opponent, Eugene Hua, playing black, currently rated 1336. I start off with e4 and he goes e5. So when I see this type of opening, I can't resist but play the King's Gambit with f4, and he goes d5. So e takes d, and e takes f. So like I mentioned before, I think if I was playing black here, I would probably advance this pawn here, because you want to keep this f file closed, and this pawn here can still be defended somehow. And it's not too bad, and you're just gaining more space, and it gets pretty annoying for white here because only one pawn can challenge this one from the front, which is this one. Either I go here or here, he can still take. So this pawn becomes quite annoying, and it makes this pawn look kind of silly because the king side here has been weakened. Okay, so then I'm going to have a hard time getting rid of this pawn to continue my attack on the f file. So anyways, he took e takes f, and I developed the knight to f3 to defend the h4 from the queen's attack. And so he goes knight to f6, attacking my d pawn, and I defend with, well actually, even though I'm going knight to c3, I'm not really defending this pawn. It's still hanging, so if he chooses to, he could simply take, and I wouldn't take back because of the queen. So after knight to c3, he actually went bishop to d6, so he wasn't interested in taking this pawn. He was more concerned about development, which I think is not a bad thing. However, this pawn here is in a good position because only one pawn can challenge it. It's taking away the square for the knight, and now he's giving me a chance to defend it. So I go bishop to c4, and he castles, and I castle. So now I think the position is pretty equal. I like my position better at this point because the rook here is actually putting pressure on the f pawn, and he hasn't taken this pawn yet. So we're equal in material, but I think I have better attacking chances. However, my king, the diagonal here, is weak. So yeah, I like my position better, but I guess you could say it's equal. He goes bishop to f5. So normally I think so this, I guess this is putting pressure on the c pawn here, but I would expect something like g4 maybe to put pressure on this knight here. Yeah, just pinning the knight to the queen, and so anyways, that's what he did, and I went d3 because my light square bishop is outside of this pawn chain now, and plus the pawn is creating a wall here against this bishop. And so now I'm already thinking of trying to trap this bishop after his move here, knight to d7. So I noticed that the bishop here can't retreat here. My pawn's controlling this square. Over here my other pawn's controlling it. And if somehow I can get my knight here to cover the g6 and attack the bishop, he would only have, well, the square is control, and he could technically go here because the knight is controlling it. So I decided to go h3, taking away this square. So my next move, I was thinking of going knight to to h4, and then the bishop would have nowhere to go, and then we would exchange pieces. And plus, by exchanging that, I'm exerting double attack on the f pawn. So that's my idea. So my opponent saw that, and he went h6. Now I can still do my double attack on this pawn if I had gone knight to d4, attacking the bishop. And if the bishop retreats here, then I could take the pawn and open up the f file. So I made a mistake here. I went knight to h4 instead, and I thought that I still had that idea. So after bishop to h7, I realized that my idea wouldn't work, because if I took the pawn here, he would have this double attack. And actually it could have worked, because I could simply take, right? And then that would still work. And then if he takes, then he weakens his king even more. I didn't even think of that. So I guess it wasn't a mistake, but I was afraid to take that pawn because of the fork. So I don't know, maybe if I had taken the pawn here, what if he takes back? Yeah, actually that would have been the problem. So if he takes back, then I cannot take, because then the fork happens. So yeah, I did see that line. So my plan of knight to h4 didn't work out. I think I should have moved knight to d4 instead. So as they say, the knight on the rim is dim. And this knight here is just really misplaced. I don't like this knight here. So I go knight to e3 instead, e2 instead, to put a little bit of pressure on the pawn. I'm not sure if it's all that useful. The goal here is, I thought I could now take with the knight. Actually, I didn't really think of that line, but my next move could have been to take with the bishop, and then if he takes back, yeah, he's still double attacking the knight. So this plan here is still not working. So he went, now it's his turn to attack. So he goes knight to b6, attacking my light squared bishop, and I retreat the bishop to b3, and now I realize that he's able to take the pawn back with a quite interesting discovered attack with the queen here. So the knight here is really misplaced. So he just won a pawn, and I didn't really care about this pawn, because actually I wanted him gone, so that now the bishop becomes a bit more active. But however, he can now develop the pawns here, and I'm losing this good pawn. And so now I retreat the knight to f3, escape from the queen. And here's my idea here is that actually I had no idea here. I really felt lost, and I thought that I wasted a lot of moves moving the knight back and forth, and then in terms of development, he's probably better. And I don't see how I could take this pawn back, because now the knight is defending, and I really thought to myself that I would lose this game at this point. Anyways, he went rook to e8, putting more pressure on the e-file. So I didn't feel like moving the rook here, because then I wanted to exert that pressure on this pawn here. So here I have so when you see two pieces like this, and plus there's a double attack potential if I can somehow get my pawn here, I came up with the idea of moving, well, I played d4. So here's my idea. It seems like a weakening move here, making this bishop more powerful, because right here the bishop was kind of stuck between, like behind a brick wall here, but by moving this pawn up, I'm creating some weaknesses for myself, Well, I am controlling the dark squares here, so the kings is a little bit safer. Um, but the idea here is that my next move would gain a tempo on his knight, and once the knight runs, then I push for c5, double attacking the two pieces there. So at this point, he has to move the knight. But sometimes when we don't see our opponent's threats, we don't pay too much attention, and then we keep developing just for the sake of developing. But one good rule is that before you play your own move, if you could give your opponent the next move, ask yourself what he would do. So if, let's say, my opponent right here before making his move gave me that move and said, okay, so if I was in this position, what would I do? So obviously, well, not obviously, but if he thought carefully, he would say that, you know what, I could move c4 and then attacking the knight, and once his knight has to run, then I move c5. So if he gave me that next move, he would have known to move his knight. So he didn't do that, so he went queen to d7. I suppose just to develop, because he didn't feel that he was under attack in any way, which he wasn't really. So then I took my opportunity there and I went c4. So right there, I knew that I was gonna win this game. I felt, and so he took a long time thinking here, and he chose a knight to b4. So here the idea is probably, I guess he couldn't really play knight to c2 because my bishop was there. Playing the knight here doesn't really makes sense. However, playing the bishop here would pin the knight to the rook, and then he has his other rook here. But it's not a real threat because I can simply move the rook to defend, and I would still be okay. And then I could push to kick the knight away, and then the bishop would be hanging, the knight would be hanging, and there's always this threat here. So it doesn't matter what he does. I'm in a better position. I chose a3. So I think at this point I could have chosen c5 right away for the double attack. But somehow I felt that move could wait, right? So there was nothing that he could really do to deliver check or anything to escape one of these guys. So I felt that putting pressure on the knight here would be a good idea, because obviously the knight can't move here, and if I force the knight to move here, that would be quite passive, and then the knight retreating here is not a good idea. Maybe in this case, moving the knight here and then moving it and taking this the c pawn here once I push is probably the best move. Anyways, he went bishop to d3, exerting pressure on the knight, and I wasn't sure where I should go the rook, but I wanted to keep that pressure on the f file because I felt that I would somehow find a way to open it up, and if I went rook to f2, eventually when I develop my pieces here, the other rook could swing to f1 to put pressure on the f7 pawn here. So I went rook to f2, and my opponent takes bishop takes e2, rook takes e2. So now his knight is hanging, and then there's always that c5 push. So he retreats the knight to c6, and so at this point I took rook takes e8 because I felt that this rook here was kind of hanging, even though the queen was protecting the rook here. The queen was also protecting the light squared bishop. So also because I knew I would be up material this is an opportunity to force an exchange, and as more pieces get off the board, I think I'm better off because I would be up a piece. So rook takes e8 check, rook takes e8, and now I push c5, and he goes bishop to f8, and c takes b6. So now all my pieces look good. The bishop here is the only one that I'm kind of worried about, because you don't want to lock your queen down in defending another piece, which is not the best way to go. So now this pawn here is also, it has a bit of pressure from these two, but so far I'm okay. The rook here has the open e file, so he's not bad, but of course he has to deal with this pawn first. So he goes a takes b, and here I thought maybe I could push here and then make the knight move somewhere, and then I could have a double attack on the queen and the rook, but that wouldn't work because he would also always have this pawn move here, and I can't take, because then the bishop is no longer defended by the queen. So I gave up that idea, and I went bishop takes f4 just to connect my queen to the rook, to take the pawn here, and to put a bit of pressure over here, and to develop the bishop. Now this doesn't look good as well, because now the bishop is unprotected, and I'm very careful never to, well, I try never to leave my pieces unprotected, because it just opens tactical ideas. So if he can somehow use the queen for a double attack, something like that, make some exchanges, and in the end, if he ends up with the queen here, it would be a double attack. Of course, this is not the case, but you just have to be careful when your pieces are hanging. So this piece I don't like too much. It's sort of forcing my queen there. This piece I don't like at this point, and because the queen here needs to stay connected with the rook. Now it's connected with here and defending the knight and the pawn. The queen is kind of overworked here. And plus now this one is unprotected. So I just have to be careful. Remember, these moves here look very quick, right? Because we're just analyzing it. But during the game, it did take a long time before I made any moves. Same thing with my opponent. So we're quite careful. This is a 4-hour game. So now, so let me. Okay, so after bishop takes f4, my opponent plays knight to a5, attacking the bishop. So sometimes when your piece is under attack, the first thing you think about is to move your piece, right? But in this case, it's before doing that, like I said, give your opponent the next move and see what he would do. So now here, the queen is protecting the bishop, so it's not a real threat. And if he does exchange, even though the bishop pair here is quite powerful, I'm okay with exchanging everything at this point. So that would have been okay. I'm not sure if there's any tactics on the bishop, but I didn't see any. But I did see that knight to e5 was a more powerful move, because I'm gaining a tempo on the queen, and the f7 pawn here is hanging. I think I could have played that move right away instead of bishop takes f4 here. Oh no, actually I couldn't because of the knight, right? So I had my eye on that square, but once the minute that he moved the knight, this pawn here no longer needed to be defended. And also, if I did, if I did move my knight here first, then this pawn hangs. So so that's why I took bishop here first, and then after he went knight, I went knight to e5. And he felt that he had no choice but to lose the exchange here, with rook takes e5 and bishop takes e5. So now he's free to take my bishop if he wants, because now the pawn here is defended. And so he goes queen to b5, putting pressure on the bishop. And so I thought here that ideally I would probably want the rook on the c file, then relocate the bishop here. That would have been the best way, because the bishop here is a bit safer, and it has this diagonal here, and it's quite powerful. But if the bishop goes here, it kind of blocks the c file for the rook. But anyways, I felt I had no choice. I went bishop to c2, and he goes queen takes b2. So he's not doing too bad. He's still down rook, and he's got more pawns, but I felt that if right now I force an exchange of queens, I would win the game easily, because these 3 pawns here are not that strong. There's a double pawn, and there's like constant threats here. So I decided to give him another pawn with rook to b1, attacking the queen. And the queen doesn't really have a good spot to go to, but I'm basically at this point trying to deflect the queen away from the light squares. So queen takes a3, and this is my winning move, queen to d3, forcing a queen exchange because I'm threatening checkmate here, and the queen is hanging. So if he blocks with a pawn move or something, then the queen hangs, and he had no choice but to exchange queens. So queen takes d3, bishop takes d3, and my opponent resigns. The reason is because both of these pawns here are weak. There's no way for him to defend the c7 pawn here. This bishop is too inactive, and if he moves the pawn here, the other pawn hangs, and then it's a matter of time before I chase away the knight, take all his pawns here, and then I have a pass pawn that's pretty much unstoppable, and my king is saved. There's no way for him to do much with the 2 pieces here. So that's why he resigned. And so this was I don't know if it's the strongest game, because I think we both made mistakes, but overall I think I got lucky, because my my knight wasn't this position here. I really felt yeah, right here when the knight was like on the rim here, and then he takes here, then I really felt that I wasted a lot of moves here, and the knight really didn't accomplish anything here, right? So if I had gone here instead, I could have taken the pawn earlier. But anyways, that's the game, and I hope you guys learned something here, and I just really like to play the King's Gambit, and I'm still learning, and I hope I get better, and I hope that you followers are also learning the way I play, and get better yourselves. Okay, so thanks. I'll see you guys next week.